You've set up pm2. Your app is running beautifully. Then you do a routine server reboot after installing kernel updates. You come back to find your app is down. Customers are calling. Your app is gone. This is the reboot problem. By default, pm2 does not survive reboots. pm2 is a running process on your server. When the server reboots, all running processes stop, including pm2. When the server comes back up, only processes configured to start automatically via the init system will run. pm2 is not one of them by default. The solution is two commands, pm2 startup and pm2 save. pm2 startup generates a systemd service unit that tells systemd to start pm2 when the system boots. pm2 save captures a snapshot of your current process list and saves it to disk. When pm2 starts on boot, it reads that snapshot and restores all the apps that were running when you ran pm2 save. Together, these two commands are the difference between an app that survives reboots and one that requires manual intervention every time the server restarts. This is not optional for production deployments. It is the minimum viable reliability requirement. Let's walk through exactly how to do this correctly. To understand pm2 startup, you need to understand systemd, the init system used by Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, and most modern Linux distributions. When Linux boots, the kernel starts exactly one user space process, the init system. On modern Linux, that's systemd. Systemd then starts everything else, your network stack, your SSH daemon, your cron jobs, and after you configure it, your pm2 process manager. Systemd manages services using unit files. A unit file is a text file that describes a service, what binary to run, what user to run it as, when to start it, before or after the network is up, for example, what to do if it crashes. When you run pm2 startup, pm2 generates one of these unit files and registers it with systemd. The unit file tells systemd, after network.target is online, start pm2 as the Ubuntu user. If pm2 crashes, restart it. With this unit file registered, systemd starts pm2 on every boot. pm2 then reads the dump file created by pm2 save and starts all the apps in that dump. This is a two-layer resilience strategy. Systemd ensures pm2 is always running, and pm2 ensures your node.js apps are always running. If your node.js app crashes, pm2 restarts it. If pm2 crashes, systemd restarts pm2. Both layers doing their job means your app can self-heal from almost any process-level failure. The pm2 startup command is straightforward, but there's an important workflow to follow. Step 1, run pm2 startup without sudo, just pm2 startup. pm2 detects your operating system and generates the systemd unit file it would need to create. Then pm2 prints a command to the terminal, something like sudo envpath
pm2 startup system eu ubuntu hp/home/ubuntu.
Step 2, copy that entire command from the terminal output and run it with sudo. This is why you don't run pm2 startup with sudo in the first place. pm2 needs to detect your current user's environment variables, especially the path, to generate the correct command. Step 3, verify the systemd service was created. Run system.status pm2 ubuntu, where ubuntu is your username. You should see the service listed as enabled and active. Step 4, start your apps and run pm2 save. We'll cover save in the next slide. Why does the command pm2 generates look complicated? Because it needs to include the full path, specifically the path to node.js, so that when systemd starts pm2 at boot, as root, before user environments are loaded, pm2 can find the node binary it needs to run. If you installed node.js via NVM, the path is different and pm2 startup may not work correctly out of the box. This is another reason to prefer installing node.js via nodesource apt packages. They install node to /usr/bin, which is always in the path. pm2 save takes a snapshot of every process currently in pm2's process list and saves it to a dump file, /pm2/dump.pm2. This is what pm2 reads on boot to know which apps to restore. The workflow is, get all your apps running exactly as they should in production, then run pm2 save. From that point forward, every time pm2 starts, including at boot, it will start the same apps with the same configuration. The critical mistake to avoid, running pm2 save before your apps are configured correctly. If you save while an app is in an errored state or with the wrong configuration, pm2 will try to start that broken configuration on every reboot. Best practice: start your apps using the ecosystem file, pm2 start ecosystem.config.js production, verify all apps show online in pm2 list, verify the apps are actually working by making an HTTP request, then run pm2 save. If you later change your ecosystem configuration, add a new app, remove one, change environment variables, you need to run pm2 save again to update the dump file. Otherwise, the reboot behavior reflects the last time you ran pm2 save, not your current configuration. pm2 save outputs saved successfully when it works. The dump file is located at /pm2/dump.pm2. You can cat it to see the saved JSON configuration if you need to verify what's been saved. After running pm2 startup and pm2 save, how do you verify it actually works without rebooting the server? You can simulate what happens at boot without actually rebooting. The steps: first, verify the systemd service exists and is enabled. System to list unit files, grep pm2. You should see pm2 ubuntu.service listed as enabled. Second, check the status of the pm2 systemd service, sudo system status pm2 ubuntu. It should show active, running, and display the pm2 process information. Third, stop pm2 completely and restart it via systemd to simulate a reboot, pm2 kill, then sudo system start pm2 ubuntu. After a moment, run pm2 list, your saved apps should reappear. If pm2 list shows your apps after the system start, you've correctly configured startup. If pm2 list is empty after system start, you either didn't run pm2 save, or the dump file is empty or corrupt. Fourth, for the most reliable test, actually reboot with sudo reboot, wait for the server to come back up, ssh in, and run pm2 list. If all apps are online, you're done. Nothing beats actually testing the reboot scenario you're protecting against. Verify once thoroughly when you first set up the server. Then anytime you add or change apps, run pm2 save and verify again. Understanding exactly what pm2 save captures helps you avoid surprises after a reboot. What pm2 save saves: the process list, every app currently shown in pm2 list, including its name, script path, working directory, exec mode, number of instances, and environment variables. The complete configuration needed to restart those apps in the same state. What pm2 save does not save: the actual in-memory state of your application. Your app's RAM contents, open file handles, in-flight requests, and anything stored in JavaScript variables, all of that is lost on restart, as it is with any process restart. This is expected. Your app should be designed so that in-memory state is either acceptable to lose, caches, or stored in persistent storage, database, Redis. What pm2 save does not save: logs. Logs accumulate in /.pm2/logs/ between restarts. They're not cleared or reset by pm2 save. This is good: historical logs survive reboots. What pm2 save does not save: runtime metrics. The restart count resets after a reboot because it's counting restarts within the current pm2 session, not historical crashes. The uptime resets because it's measuring how long the current process has been running. The important implication: if you stop an app before rebooting, pm2 stop my app, then pm2 save, it will come back as stopped after reboot, pm2 saves the stop state too. If you want an app to start automatically on reboot, it must be in the online or running state when you run pm2 save. Let's put together the complete workflow for a fresh server deployment, from zero to fully configured with startup. 1. Install node.js via NodeSource apt repository. This puts Node in /usr/bin, which systemd can find. 2. Install pm2 globally. Sudo npm install gpm2. 3. Clone or deploy your application code to /home/ubuntu/myapp. 4. Install dependencies. cd /home/ubuntu/myapp and npm install production. 5. Create your ecosystem.config.js with all paths as absolute paths. 6. Start your apps. pm2 start ecosystem.config.js production. 7. Verify all apps show online in pm2 list. Make HTTP requests to confirm the app is actually working. 8. Configure startup. Run pm2 startup without sudo, copy the command pm2 prints, run that command with sudo. 9. Save the process list. pm2 save. 10. Verify. Reboot the server with sudo reboot. SSH back in. Run pm2 list. Confirm all apps are online. This sequence, done in order, produces a server that survives reboots, restarts crashed apps, and requires no manual intervention for routine operations. Every production Node.js deployment should go through these 10 steps. pm2 save is not a one-time command. Every time you change your pm2 process list, you need to run pm2 save again to update what gets restored on the next reboot. When do you need to run pm2 save again? When you add a new app to your ecosystem file and start it, pm2 start ecosystem.config.js env production for a new app. Run pm2 save to include the new app and the reboot restoration. When you permanently remove an app, pm2 delete my app, then pm2 save to stop it from being restored on reboot. When you change instance count permanently and want it to survive reboots. When do you not need to run pm2 save? After routine deployments where you run pm2 reload, a reload doesn't change what's in the process list, only the code running. The existing save is still correct. A useful option, pm2 save force. Sometimes pm2 shows a warning about an empty process list. Force overrides this. Only use it when you intentionally have no apps running. The most common mistake, forgetting to run pm2 save after adding a new app. The new app runs fine all week. The server gets rebooted for kernel updates. The new app doesn't come back. If you add an app and don't save, the next reboot reveals the gap. Make it a habit, anytime you run pm2 start for a new app, immediately follow it with pm2 save. If you need to remove the pm2 startup configuration, perhaps you're migrating to a different process manager or restructuring your deployment, the command is pm2 on startup. pm2 on startup generates a command, similar to pm2 startup, that you run with sudo to remove the systemd unit file and disable pm2 from starting on boot. After running pm2 on startup, verify the service is gone, system to list unit files or grep pm2, it should no longer appear. The dump file at /pm2/dump.pm2 is not deleted by pm2 on startup. If you later run pm2 startup and pm2 save again, the old dump file is overwritten. If you want to start completely fresh, you can delete the dump file, rm/.pm2/dump.pm2. Updating pm2 itself, after sudo npm install gpm2 at latest, you need to refresh the startup script because the pm2 binary path may have changed. Run pm2 on startup to remove the old service, then pm2 startup to generate a new one, then sudo run the generated command, then pm2 save. This ensures systemd points to the new pm2 binary. pm2 update, not the same as updating pm2 itself, this command updates pm2's in-memory daemon to match the installed version without a full reinstall. Run pm2 update after upgrading pm2 to apply the update without restarting all your apps. A practical scenario for the knowledge check. You've configured your server with pm2 startup and pm2 save. Your app is running. 2 weeks later, you add a new background worker to your ecosystem.config.js, started with pm2 start ecosystem.config.js env production, and verify it's online. That night, the server automatically applies kernel updates and reboots. The next morning, you check and the new worker is not running. The API is running. Only the worker is missing. What did you forget? Option A, you forgot to run pm2 startup again for the new app. Incorrect, pm2 startup is a one-time server configuration. It doesn't need to be run for each app. Option B, you forgot to run pm2 save after adding the worker. Correct. pm2 save captures a snapshot of the current process list. Since you didn't save after adding the worker, the dump file still only contained the API. On reboot, pm2 restored only what was in the dump file, just the API. Option C, you need to run pm2 reload before pm2 save. Incorrect, pm2 reload is for code updates, not related to startup configuration. Option D, the worker doesn't appear in pm2 list so it was never properly started. Incorrect, you verified it was online before the reboot. The answer is B. Every time you permanently add or remove an app from pm2, run pm2 save immediately. It's a 2-second command that prevents this exact scenario.